Hey everyone, it is Saturday, July the 28th, around 12:20 p.m. and today I'm hiking a few trails and peak bagging near Mount Pisgah, North Carolina. Before I talk about my main hike today, thought I'd let you know that I actually did two shorter hikes this morning, both out and backs, and I'm not going to include videos of or pictures of either one of them because they didn't really have any views, and I just did them for peak bagging purposes. There are 6 ranked 5,000 foot peaks in the Mount Pisgah vicinity, including Mount Pisgah. All of these are along the dominant Pisgah Ridge, which is kind of the northeastern crest of the Great Balsam Mountains before everything drops a couple thousand feet towards Asheville and the Mills River watershed. So I drove south of Mount Pisgah a few miles to park at Pigeon Gap, which is just south of Wagon Road Gap and US 276. And I followed the MST south up to Green Knob, which is, I think, 5,056 feet, something like that. It is a ranked 5,000 footer and it's on the trail. It was about 0.7 miles up and 450 feet of climbing. So it was a decent hike to start my day. I then turned around, drove back up to the Mount Pisgah trailhead, Buck Spring Gap parking area, and I followed the MST North, which is also the shut-in trail, to bag Little Pisgah Mountain, which is the high point of Henderson County, also a ranked 5,000 footer. And that was just under a mile up, also probably about 300 feet of climbing and a 100-foot bushwhack from the trail. Then when I got back to my car, took a little break, put on my pack, and now I'm doing my longest hike of the day. So, my main hike of the day, the one that you're actually going to see views and pictures of, is the Pilot Rock and Thompson Creek Trail Loop, which dives off of Pisgah Ridge below Pisgah Inn down into the Bradley Creek watershed, dropping almost 2,000 feet. Pilot Rock is one of the lesser known plutons in the Pisgah Ranger District, and it's supposed to have really nice views of the Cradle Forestry National Historic Site, Pink Beds area. Then I'll climb right back up on the Thompson Creek Trail just below Pisgah Inn, which crosses right over Little Bald Mountain, another ranked 5,000 footer. And from there, it's going to be a little twist. I'm going to follow the forest road from the Pisgah campgrounds over to Big Bald, which is the 4th ranked 5,000 footer I'm going to do today. And I have the option of extending the hike about a mile further to Frying Pan Mountain, which I did last year. And that's really dependent on my energy levels and if the visibility is good, because right now it's kind of cloudy, but it's supposed to clear up later in the day. That loop in total is around 7 miles, and then the out and back to Big Bald adds a couple more miles. And if I go all the way out to Frying Pan, I think it'd be about a 12-mile hike. I also, if I'm feeling really energetic, I could climb up Mount Pisgah when I get back to the parking lot, but I highly doubt it. I'm going to choose one or the other, either Frying Pan or Mount Pisgah, because those are the 2 best viewpoints in this area. I have left the Laurel Mountain Trail, which was very rugged with lots of quick up and downs over rocks and roots, and a hiker's only trail. And I used the Laurel Mountain Connector Trail to shimmy over to the Pilot Rock Trail, which I'm now descending. And from here, this is all mixed use with mountain bikers, and I passed a couple, and it's definitely in a better condition than the Laurel Mountain Trail section that I was on. I'll try to bust out the map before I get down to Pilot Rock. The Pilot Rock Trail looked kind of difficult where I took that video segment, but this is more akin to what I'm seeing for the most part. Nice wide flat track and really nice tunnels of shrubs on this exposed ridgeline. Very cool so far. My inspiration for this hike today was Jeff Clark and his very well-known blog, Meanderthals. He posted this link recently, even though it's an older hike, just saying it's one short but steep loop. And he said that this was an incredibly dangerous rock, and it's definitely right. This is very steep, much steeper than the rock faces on John Rock or Cedar Rock, and you wouldn't even think about doing this if it was wet. You can't even walk straight down. You really need to switch back to get down to get an open view. So that's what I'm going to do very carefully. That was nerve-wracking to say the least. If it's dry and you have decent shoes and you take your time switchbacking and not going straight down, you can make it down to some of these more flat spots near the bottom. But make no mistake, this is serious business. If you slip, you might tumble and die. And here's what I'm looking, some of these more flat carve outs in the rock, they're relatively safe to take a break, but we're basically at the lip. So this is a sketchy viewpoint. I'm gonna get out the map and try to check what I'm looking at first. So here I am at Pilot Rock. Basically everything just below me are the headwaters of Bradley Creek, which is a major tributary of the South Fork Mills River. But somewhere down here is a gap that divides Bradley Creek and the headwaters of the South Fork Mills River. And this whole area is the Cradle of Forestry National Historic Site, which I think is the first forestry school in the US back in like 1916, something like that. And this area is known as Pink Beds, and it is an upland bog swamp area, very flat, easy trails with lots of cool flowers and trees and stuff. Really good backpacking loops in there around the South Fork Mills River. And I think this stuff over here, maybe Soapstone Ridge and Rich Mountain, I've never really hiked in this general area. And looking in the distance there, I think that tall peak is possibly Green Knob, which I hiked earlier today. That's definitely over 5,000 feet. And I can't really tell. It could be Senior Mountain, which is further southwest. I can see up to my west-southwest Frying Pan Mountain and its lookout tower and communications towers. It's a possibility I head up there later on, but the clouds are still pretty thick today, so we'll see. The map I'm using today is the Pisgah Ranger District map by the Pisgah Map Company. This map is superior to the Pisgah Ranger District map by National Geographic in multiple ways. First, the scale is better for most of the region at 1 in 39,000, while I think the National Geographic is 1 in 65,000 or 70,000. Additionally, the National Geographic map is not updated as frequently and does a poor job of showing trails that aren't National Forest trails. For instance, this shows a lot of the trails and forest roads around the Mount Pisgah area, while the National Geographic one doesn't. So let me show you where I first started today, which is right here at Pigeon Gap, following the Mountains of Sea Trail up to Green Knob. Then I drove north towards this parking symbol at the Buck Spring Overlook Mount Pisgah Trailhead. The purple on this map indicates national park land. I started the hike in the Mount Pisgah Recreation Area, but most of the hike is within the Pisgah Ranger District of Pisgah National Forest. So what I first did was the quick out and back up to Little Pisgah Mountain, back to my car following the Mountains of Sea Trail south. Then I took the Laurel Mountain Trail and the Laurel Mountain Connector Trail to the Pilot Rock Trail. And Pilot Rock is this section when it curves towards the west. And now I'm on the Pilot Rock Extension Trail, which is 321A. It was signed as the Pilot Rock Base Trail, and this travels along the base of all of the cliffs, which I'll show you in a second. From there, I'm going to continue down to Yellow Gap Road and do a road walk to connect with the Thompson Creek Trail, which is basically a straight line and straight up. I think it changes about 1,800 feet of elevation there. And I'll reconnect with the Pilot Rock Trail and ascend up to Little Bald Mountain. And the loop I'm going to post is just going to continue back to the car, but I'm also going to continue on the Mountains Sea Trail and connect with this unmarked hiking trail from Mount Pisgah Campground, which crosses Big Bald, which is not listed on the map, but it's at that 5,200 contour, and possibly continue to Frying Pan Mountain before turning around and going back to the parking lot, where you can see if I'm feeling frisky, I could go up to Mount Pisgah. This is where I just shot that map video at a really cool location at the base of Pilot Rock. Very impressive. A little bit smaller than Stone Mountain, John Rock. Maybe the same size as Cedar Rock in terms of the cliff exposure. Definitely smaller than Little Green Mountain and Black Rock Mountain and Big Green Mountain in Panthertown Valley. But this is a very steep exposed pluton here, quite a bit steeper than some of the other ones I've hiked. And wherever I was, it could have been way up there, somewhere over here, but you can see if I fell, there's no stopping me for over 100 feet. Really cool. I'm going to continue see how much further the Pilot Rock Extension Trail goes. I'm actually surprised that it's blazed and has wooden and rock steps. I figured it'd be kind of abandoned by regular hikers, but it's not. The blazes and the official trail seem to end here, only about 200 feet from where I shot the last video. I did explore some of the scramble paths that continue through the woods, but they didn't seem as promising as I thought they might be. But it ends at basically an even more vertical sheer rock face that looks imposing, but a really nice short trail. I expected this to be longer and more difficult and overgrown than it was, so I highly recommend this side trip. Probably less than half a mile to the cliff base. I'm on the Thompson Creek Trail, and I just scared a bear off in that direction. I barely saw it, but first quarter mile of the Thompson Creek Trail really lulls you to sleep. It's almost flat. It's kind of singing to myself. And then I heard a lot of crashing and noise through the trees and saw a decent sized black figure running away in the opposite direction. Didn't look too big. Still yet to encounter a bear on the trail that I can get a picture of. All this hiking, they never let me get a good shot of them. Anyways, Thompson Creek Trail is the more difficult of the two in this loop. It climbs around 1,800 feet in 2.3 miles. And given that this first section has been nearly flat, it's going to be close to 1,000 feet per mile. But it seems like the gradient is gradually changing, which is kind of nice, kind of warming me up, getting me ready for the hard stuff. But then I have to continue on to the top of Little Bald Mountain. So we got about a 2,000 foot elevation change from Yellow Gap Road to the summit. You're not going to be able to tell it all in the video, but this final leg of the Thompson Creek Trail is a freaking ass kicker. We finally left the creek drainage around 4,200 feet, and now seems like got about 600 feet of climbing straight up in under half a mile on these incredibly steep switchbacks. It's going to be a really tough finish. And that's about 300 more feet to the top of Little Bald. It is definitely a worthy addition to tough trails in North Carolina. I think this should show you the difficulty of the trail a little better than me just shooting front forward. Maybe you can get an idea of the gradient from this angle. I never know until I check. Can also hear something in the distance. Originally I thought it was some hikers, which is unexpected because I've only seen two mountain bikers on this loop. But it actually sounds like singing. It's possible there's a concert at the Pisgah Inn, 500 feet above me. Oh, not as steep. I'm almost at the top of Little Bald Mountain and have a weird find here. Looks like a dead mole above ground, above 5,000 feet, and seems pretty fresh. There's no smell. Nothing's eating it. Pretty weird. Got a decent view on the side of Little Bald Mountain. Not at the top yet. This time looking way down at Pink Beds and the Cradle of Forestry. I'm pretty certain now the peak I pointed out earlier when I was on Pilot Rock. I'm pretty certain that is Green Knob. We got a frying pan right here. It's already pretty late in the day, so definitely not going all the way out to frying pan at this point.
I'm going down, share some beers and some laughs in this ghost town.
It's around 6:30 p.m. and I'm back at the Buck Spring Lodge site. which is 500 feet from my car. So that means I'm wrapping up my hike. On this hike, I've been on the trail around 6 hours and 15 minutes, and that doesn't include my previous 2 hikes. Up to Green Knob was around 45 or 50 minutes, and I think Little Pisgah Mountain was around 40 minutes, which means today I hiked around 8 hours. It was more difficult than anticipated. None of those 4 5,000 foot peaks are difficult on their own, but all of the final approaches are about 300 to 500 feet of elevation change in a relatively short distance. So that really adds the difficulty and elevation gain over time. And then the loop using the Pilot Rock Trail and the Thompson Creek Trail was more difficult than I expected. That is a really tough medium distance loop, and I'm trying to rack in my brain what are some of the similar 6 to 8 mile loops like that are just as tough, and I can't think of them at the moment, so I'm going to go back and check, because that would definitely rank up there as one of the toughest medium length hikes I've done in a couple years. So that was probably around 2,200, 2,300 feet of elevation gain from the valley up to Little Bald Mountain. And yeah, it was a tough day. So I'm going to drop down to the car. I'm going to show you a quick little segment of what Mount Pisgah looks like from the parking lot. Then I'm going to go back to the Pisgah Inn. Their gift shop is open till 8, so I can change in the restroom and grab a soda. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you next time. Buck Spring Gap overlook. And Mount Pisgah in the evening. See you guys later.